from not paying attention to some generational health problems to seeing the world in black and white. Here are Daenerys' biggest mistakes that caused her demise in Game of Thrones, starting with how she wasn't attentive enough. So, as you know, Daenerys has been told that her family has a history of mental health problems that have been passed down. Her father was called the Mad King because he caused much pain, suffering, and trouble. Ultimately, he cared more about total power than doing what was right. When Jaime killed him, it was because the Mad King was about to do something terrible because of this, and it seemed like there was no other way to stop him. People told Daenerys that her family was both very powerful and very crazy, and at first, it seemed like she was on the side of greatness, but the danger of going crazy was always there. She sometimes took it to heart, though she didn't take it as seriously as she got closer to the power she wanted. But then, there was the issue of how she ruled without much regard for the people she was ruling. You see, she didn't always respect and learn about other people's cultures and ways of life. In this case, Daenerys did this by learning the Dothraki language and ways in the first few seasons. But as she went on her journey and got closer to her goal, she began to forget this lesson. Instead, she thought the people she was trying to control would blindly follow her or be glad to see her. This is clear when she goes to the north and seems surprised that Sansa's treated with more respect than she is. She doesn't know about the strong ties and pride in the family in the north, and she doesn't try to learn about their culture when she goes to the south. It's too bad that she forgot what she had learned before, because not learning about the cultures of these other places didn't make her any more popular with them. Then she made a pretty old mistake that the Lannister siblings had already made in the beginning. She fell in love with her nephew. Jon Snow falls for Daenerys, and she does the same for him. At first, neither of them is aware of their connection. But when Jon finds out that he's Daenerys' nephew, oh boy, does he get the shock of his life. He's put off by what he learns and tries to pull away because he knows the relationship is wrong because they're related. But Daenerys had almost no doubts about staying with Jon. Her unwillingness to rethink her relationship with him led directly to her downfall and death.
I wish you'd never told me. If I didn't know, I'd be happy.
Although, that's not the only time she dug her own grave. The fact that she had dragons under her meant that she should have controlled them better. Seeing how she had a soft spot for one of her dragons, it's true that she loves them and even thinks of them as her children, but she doesn't really know how to punish them though. At first, she tries to ignore how hard it is to handle all the dragons. Then she finds out that Drogon, one of her dragons, killed a kid. She can't ignore it, so Drogon gets away, and the other two dragons get punished, even though they didn't do anything wrong. Over the course of the series, Daenerys seems to get closer to Drogon, and he ends up being her favorite. So she doesn't love all of her kids the same. If she had, she might have been able to control them better from the start, which could have changed how her campaign went. But as we all know, she's always had trouble establishing herself as someone in power, because she's always insisted on being seen as more important. You see, Daenerys wants to be respected, so when she gets to the south, she ensures that all of her titles are used to introduce and accept her. It's a strange way to meet new people and throws off the people she's trying to impress. On the one hand, she may need this to demand respect as a strong woman in a more patriarchal society, but it seems strange and unsafe to those in the south and the north. They need to see what she does, not just hear what she says, to know who she is, and her sense of superiority often makes negotiations go badly. That explains why she ends up blowing up more often, which is another problem. She often became angry. The anger that Daenerys feels is as hot and sudden as dragon fire. At first, there were times when her anger helped her case, but anger isn't always the solution. She depends too much on it. When she acts out of anger, she makes really bad choices. If she could take a step back, she could act more clearly. In the same way, she's stubborn. She can be hard, and she doesn't bend. When she killed Dickon Tarly, that was the moment when we really saw how much Daenerys had changed. Dickon and his father refused to bow down and chose to die. Tyrion did try to stop Daenerys from killing Dickon, though. She had to show the people she was trying to lead that she could be kind. Dickon was also younger, could change his mind, and was liked by many people. By killing Dickon in front of a crowd, she wouldn't get their love or loyalty. She'd just make them afraid. People in the South also grew up hearing stories about how crazy her father was. The fact that she couldn't find a middle ground showed them that she might be like her father, a leader to get rid of instead of one to love.
I'm Dickon Tarly, son of Randall Tarly.
You are the future of your house. This war has already wiped one great house from the world.
She didn't change her plan based on what was going on. All the trouble with getting established as an authority figure and being stubborn led to her next mistake, when Daenerys decides to burn down the city of King's Landing. One of Daenerys' biggest mistakes was that she thought the same plan would work most of the time. For her, using the dragon's fire to get people to listen to her and obey her was a big part of her plan. Early on, she did show that she was strong, and her dedication, will, and dragons helped her make big changes, but it's hard for her to understand that not every problem can be solved similarly. In the HBO show, this is why she has Tyrion to advise her, though she doesn't always follow his advice. This character's more about making a grand entrance, not so much about setting up camp. Plus, she didn't focus on getting things set up after becoming a leader. In this way, Sansa makes a better leader than Daenerys. Infrastructure isn't the most exciting part of being a leader. Talking about grains and food isn't as fun as talking about dragons, but it's important for stability. To be a leader, you must ensure your people have what they need to live and do well. This is how to make the public grateful. But Daenerys likes how grand the first act was, how she was the hero who freed everyone, and how she was praised for it. People still need to eat and live, though, whether they're free or slaves. As she showed in Meereen, Daenerys has trouble understanding and building the infrastructure that a kingdom needs. And of course, one of Daenerys' biggest flaws is that she sees the world in black and white. She refused to believe that there were different shades of gray. Either you support her or you don't. You're either a friend or an enemy. If you were a friend and then turned against her, you must show her you're still a friend, often by something drastic like sacrificing your life for her. Daenerys had to be determined and have a clear goal to get to the throne, but to sit on it and rule well, she had to accept that there are different shades of gray. That's all the biggest mistakes Daenerys made that caused her demise in Game of Thrones.